coordinator and firing Scott Turner. Let me ask you, what good coordinator would take that job? They're shaky at ownership, shaky with coach. Ron Rivera could get fired. And they have no momentum. And they're shaky at quarterback. So who are you coordinating for? It's the trifecta of shakiness: owner, quarterback, and coach. That's why I thought the Ben Johnson, I thought Detroit, now that's a good job. I thought that win over Green Bay was substantial. But it's interesting in this league, you want to stay out of the swamp. So there's 3 teams in the league I think are in the swamp. They got a million questions and very few answers. I think Washington's in it. I think the Texans are in it. And I think the Bears are in it. O-line, we don't know if it's the right coach. We don't know if it's the right GM. I don't trust the old owners of the Bears. Texans, Commanders, Bears, they're in the swamp. They got a million questions and not a lot of answers. They're waist deep in it. You can't get out quickly. Then there are teams that are knee deep in the swamp. They can get out, but there are qualities I like about them. I like a lot of the Jets roster. A lot of it. They got to get better at quarterback. I think Saleh's the coach. Carolina's front 7 defensively. I like it a lot. The Colts have good players. I think Atlanta needs a trigger guy. But Arthur Smith, there's some pieces there. I kind of like some things about Atlanta. They're knee deep. They're not getting out overnight, but there's an avenue to get out. And then there's the third group, and that is they're walking into the swamp, but they can quickly solve it. Denver, get Harbaugh in there. Saints, maybe bring Sean Payton back. Cleveland, need a really good offseason, and Deshaun Watson's got to get his act together. But his history is he's pretty good. He's a B+, A- quarterback. So you're either waist deep, knee deep, or walking into it. But Washington has, you don't know what the coach situation is, the quarterback situation is, the ownership situation is. And I say this to fans, the answer generally for fans is fire the coach. But what is the message that sends to the best people in the sport? That's why the Cleveland Browns have drafted poorly. Because of the ownership situation. They don't attract the best scout. The best scouts want to go work for the Niners. Or they want to go work for really good owners. They want to work for Stan Kroenke. Green Bay doesn't fire because Green Bay drafts well. They've had good scouts forever. Baltimore's had good scouts forever. So if you just keep by the way, the Pittsburgh Steelers have their issues. Boy, do they draft and develop well. They've had a lot of the same scouts and regional scouts and scouting directors for a long time. Their GM just retired about a year ago. Why? Because they don't fire people every 15 minutes. You go there, you move your family there, you're going to get your pension in the NFL. You start firing people constantly. The message to the best candidates in any business is get your money and get the hell out of there. Washington, you can blame Scott Turner, but there's so much chaos there. I'd keep everybody and just get a quarterback. But they'll probably fire Rivera. They'll get rid of This is what's happened to Indianapolis. 3 years ago, no chaos. Then the owner stepped in. Now Indianapolis is waist deep in a mess. Why? Upstairs. Your problems always start upstairs. Always.
Can I ask Colin real quick, why is Washington in worse shape than the Colts? I could argue Washington was in the playoffs until like week 15. They were in the mix. They've got a great front 7 defensively, great wide receivers, McLaurin, the young kid Dotson.
Because Washington has the single worst owner in the league. Nobody likes him. Nobody trusts him. Nobody can depend on him.
Can you say those things about
Irsay? At least, hey, when Irsay had Peyton Manning and Luck, he stayed out of there.
Yeah.
Now, as Luck retired, some of this is situational. When Luck when he retired, it sent everybody, it's impossible. You can't solve that issue. But most of Peyton's career, Irsay stayed away. Andrew Luck, he mostly stayed away. He has inserted himself as they seek a quarterback, and I think Jim has made a lot of mistakes. Snyder is a bad owner.
We know that. He's probably a bad human being.
There's no redeemable qualities. Irsay has redeemable qualities and has had on his legacy redeemable decades.
History, okay. But recently, Irsay got them to get rid of Carson Wentz, which I think you greatly disagreed with. And I can't get over this Jeff Saturday thing. He brought in Jeff Saturday, who has zero coaching experience from the booth. That, to me, is an unforgivable sin. Right now, I think the Colts are in that last category, and Washington's got to come out of there, dude. They got some talent. Washington gets, let's say they get Derek Carr. It could be a 10-win team next year. There are a lot of pieces on Washington. And that running back Robinson.
No, we both like their talent. We've said that. I think when they played Dallas last weekend, I didn't think Washington had less talent. I think their talent with Dallas is equal.
And, I wouldn't necessarily put the Jets knee deep if they can figure out a quarterback. But, let's and hey, how about this? You want a hot take? Put Tampa on the walking in. I'm just telling you, that thing is going to be ugly next year.
That's reasonable.
Bye-bye Brady. Coaches questionable. Ton of free agents. Tampa's on that list next year.
By the way, who's not Detroit? And they've been on that list for 10 years. It's really interesting about this is that I have sympathy for Jared Goff because when he left L.A., everybody blamed him. Everybody. And now, a year later, the Lions are in better shape than the Rams. They've got a healthier quarterback. Some would argue he's playing better. They've got a better offensive coordinator. Do you realize Jared Goff's last 6 games this year? 12 touchdowns, no picks, 109 passer rating, 67% completion percentage. In the NFC, Jared Goff's the best quarterback in the league the last 6 games. In the AFC, you could argue it's Trevor Lawrence. If you look at the NFC North today, Kirk Cousins shrinks in big games. Goff doesn't. Goff had a bad Super Bowl, but Goff doesn't shrink. I saw Goff outduel Mahomes on a Monday Night Football game. Jared Goff has had a lot of great games in big games. Sunday night, outdueled Aaron Rodgers. Outside, in cold, on the road, Aaron Rodgers, big game. Goff didn't shrink. Goff was the better quarterback late in that game. If you look at his division, though, Cousins shrinks. Aaron needs a shrink. Justin Fields, we think, will be good. Goff, if you had today to pick one, I know you all love Aaron Rodgers, but Green Bay's having meetings over the next 36 hours. They're not sure he's committed. So, Dak or Goff, look around the NFC playoffs. Outside of Jalen Hurts, who had an MVP year, take Jalen out of it. If you could insert Goff into a lot of these teams, I mean, he throws a much better ball than Dak. He doesn't move well, either does Brady. He's much younger. He's in his athletic prime. Brady's not. You start looking around the NFC. Now, the AFC is a different ballgame. Burrow, Herbert, different ballgame. Trevor Lawrence, Mahomes. I mean, Deshaun Watson and Lamar now feel like second-tier guys in the AFC. That's how loaded it is. But you look around the NFC, I don't know. That Sunday performance, and here's the other thing about Goff. Dude is never hurt. He's never hurt. Stafford, falling apart. Stafford, a lot of picks. With Ben Johnson, Goff doesn't throw picks. It tells you the value of coordinators and coaches. Brock Purdy looks like a Pro Bowler. Jared Goff no longer throws picks. So I thought that when Brad Holmes talked about Goff's status as their future quarterback.
I think what Jared has done this year, he captained the ship of a, top 3 offense. And I want to say he was top 10 statistically in most of the passing categories. So we're never going to turn down a good football player. So this is a football player we really love. I mean, we're going to make sure every stone is unturned. But I do think that Jared has proven everybody that he is a starting quarterback for us.
Yeah, I don't know Brad Holmes. All I know is this. When I hear they're going to take a quarterback with that first, and I'm like, no. You need a defensive lineman on the interior. You don't have a good interior pass rush. You need more speed at linebacker. Go to an edge linebacker. You could use another safety corner. Goff's not the problem. Goff is not the problem. His last 6-7 games, he was as good.
Tackle position too, but he's a rookie and he's had his growing pains this year. Their quarterback is a guy that people didn't think could play. Their starting wide receiver was on Buffalo's practice squad in November. He's the guy that's Isaiah Hodgins is making all the plays for them. This is a ragamuffin group that has just taken that mantra, put it on their shoulder, and said, let's go out and play hard-nosed football. And I just respect the heck out of the New York Giants for what they've been able to do. Because when you put their roster against the other rosters in the NFC or the AFC, It would be hard to say they had a better roster than anybody in the playoffs right now. As a matter of fact, I would say they have the worst roster in the playoffs, and it's a testament to them as men, the way they play this game, the hardcore physical nature that they play this game with, and to their coach who's got them believing.
Good stuff, Mark Schlereth. Good seeing you, buddy.
Absolutely, Colin. Take care, buddy.
All right. Time for new tires. Trust the experts at Tire Rack.